want to say something.
First off, one of the major questions I know I'm going to be getting is Crusaders. We adjusted the Crusader heals, the heal crits. We want healers to be required in groups. We don't want people to be able to solo the entire instances. I know it's been like that for a little bit, but unfortunately, just because it's broken doesn't mean it should stay broken the entire time. Another announcement for you Rangers.
Your class is being deleted.
We're getting rid of Rangers.
Yeah. Actually, you should see some mechanics adjustments to bows, so everyone who uses a bow will see an increase, and two-handed weapons as well will be getting an increase soon. I don't have an exact date right at the moment.
Ready for questions? Sure? 100% sure. All right, let's see. Who's got a question? Nobody? Okay, that was easy. We'll see you all next week. All right, here you go.
I'm just curious how the balancing is figured out and done. My main concern is being outparsed by berserkers on my warlock. They have increased survivability, taunts, everything else. The only thing I have is damage, and I'm not sure how that equates to balance.
About how we balance classes, we observe all the abilities, take notes on how much damage each ability is capable of, how the buffs affect each class. There's a lot to take into account. We also use parses from raid guilds, top end, low end, all throughout, and groups.
All right, here we go.
Group wards. It's pretty clear from ACT that if a class casts a 10k ward on a group, one person does not get all of that warding, and yet the ward isn't evenly distributed between the people in the group. So how exactly is it determining how much ward protects each person in the group?
So, I can answer this one. When the damage comes in onto players, it has a pool. I'm sorry, when the damage comes in onto players, and it has that 10,000 pool of defense, the first guy gets hit, it takes some, second guy takes some, second guy takes some, till that pool is gone.
Right. But usually if you look, like if an AE hits from a mob, and the AE does 25,000 points of damage, far more than the ward could ever absorb, and it looks like, from my parses, that one person gets like the lion's share, like 6, and then somebody else will get 2 or 3, and other people will get a couple hundred, and it doesn't seem to make any rhyme or reason as to how one person's getting a lot of protection, one person's getting a little protection.
So when there's not enough to go around, how does it determine? I'm sorry, when there's not enough to go around, how does it determine which person gets the lion's share? I see what you're talking about. I don't know that off the top of my head. Do one of you guys know that?
Yeah, that's something we'll probably need to look at. It seems like it would apply most of it to the first person that actually receives the damage when the server is calculating, who gets it first. But we can take a look at that mechanic and see if there's a more fair way to distribute that out.
All right.
Hi, I have a question about the Kanji Elemental Blast compared to the Necromancer Accelerated Decay. The problem is that a Kanji, and I've seen it done, can nuke with Elemental Blast anywhere from 30k to 50k. Meanwhile, with Accelerated Decay, while it does up our DP, our dot rate, even with, and don't say it, you have life burn. Life burn is really, we'll die if we're not healed. So if the healer's not paying attention, the most we can do is what our health is, which is anywhere from, average of 10 to maybe 15k. So the thing is that when you guys nerfed us 3 years ago, you took a lot of that away, but you forgot the kanji, and now you're giving the kanji a wizard type nuke. but leaving the alternate, which is the evil side of Summoner, out of it. So I was wondering if you could either A, tone down EV, which wouldn't be fair to kanjis to be sure, because they like their EV, or bring accelerated decay up to match where EV does.
We can definitely take a look into it.
Hi, I'm going to revisit your Paladin crit chance. I understand that you want to make sure that you've got a healer in every zone, because I am a healer, so I appreciate that. But I'm wondering why you picked nerfing crit for fighters as the mechanic to do it. It seems to me that there were other ways to get to the same result. And by nerfing crit chance for all fighters across the board, you hurt paladins more than other classes. And paladins are, by definition, a hybrid class that are supposed to be fighters and healers. So I'm wondering if you explored other ways of doing it that would have been more faithful to that while still accomplishing the same goal.
Well, that was a long one. The reason we chose crit is it didn't really come into play until the very high levels, which is where the problem was being seen. It wasn't a crit across the board, it was just on the heals. But the reason we use crit is it affects different class. It affects a guardian different than it would affect a paladin. It'll increase your paladin survivability. Your paladin should still see, due to the potency consolidation, you should see an increase over what you were in TSO, and it still should be noticeable even without the crits.
I will tell you, they're still going to be able to do it. They're still going to be able to solo those zones, so it's not going to solve your problem, just so you know.
Enough from the peanut gallery, give this guy a chance here.
Okay, my biggest question is, what are you guys going to do about dumbfire pets? Things like Spiritual Shrine, Necromancers, Conjurers, any pets, when they eat AoEs, they die.
You said last year you were going to fix this.
I wasn't here last year. Anyways, with Spiritual Shrine in specific, it still absorbs an extreme amount of damage when the A hits, even if it kills the pet. As for Dumbfires, it's on the list of things I want to look at. Unfortunately, I don't have a time frame.
If you look at Spiritual Shrine compared to something like Oberon stays on a target and regens at the same time, but for a larger amount.
But it doesn't block it on 24 people in your aid.
My question is mainly about Guardians and the new AA changes that you've been talking about out in the forums. Looking at the current AAs I have, I don't really see a reason to get rid of the DPS ones in order to move it into the aggro ones, unless it's a substantial kind of aggro gain from those new hate AAs that were proposed to be getting. I mean, is it going to be a substantial gain over the DPS loss, or will I just be doing less damage and slowing the group down and still doing the same job I'm doing now?
Well, hopefully you'll be able to get both if you want it. You're able to choose between all the AA lines. As for Guardians, the damage, we're hoping to do minor changes rather than one big swoop. You should see the Guardian changes going live, hopefully, a couple weeks after 57. After that, we'll be evaluating how the changes affected the class.
Hi, I've got two quick questions. One, on the Sentinel's fake gear. Why is all the scout gear losing all the DPS mods? As well as two, on the Ranger, Mythical, and Epic, we had a zero range bow auto attack ability, which has been removed when we got the invaded bow. Is that an oversight? Is that going to be fixed? Is there something you're going to do to compensate for that? What are your plans for that?
that you got them stumped.
Or